Welcome to Cozy Womb Podcast. My name is Shan, and this is Cozy Womb's 10-minute shorts on why you love your father and how you love your father. I have a special guest.
Hey.
Listen, we've known each other since college, okay? And that was years ago, okay?
Yes, it was.
And listen, and here we are. So, would you like to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. My name is Krystal. I am uh, a native New Yorker from Brooklyn. I'm living out in Seattle doing this West Coast thing right now.
Hmm.
I am so many things, but first and foremost, I am a writer. And now I'm officially a podcaster as well. So
Hey.
happy to be in the club. Yay. And yeah, I love my father. So when I heard that you were doing this, and he actually passed away back in April.
Oh no.
So I went through it. But now, I know he would want me to be happy. So when you were doing this, I immediately wanted to be a part of it.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. I love it. So, since you knocked out my next question, where you from? Um, do you have a family?
I
Yes
don't,
or
well,
no?
I have a family. It's very small. It's me and my
Hmm.
husband and my dog.
Hmm. Okay, that'll work. Care and love, and then you answered my next question. Do you want kids or have a husband or wife? So you have a husband. That is good. Um,
Yeah.
I feel like this would be like a question, but I'm gonna just ask it anyway, off the cuff. What did your dad show you about, you know, the way that he loved your mom, or what did your dad teach you about love that help you create a love and a bond with your husband?
Well, I think that because my parents were not together for
Mm.
any of my life. They
Okay.
they were together for raising my brother, but by the time I came along, they were already separated.
Hmm.
Um, and so I think that my father taught me a lot about um, what not to look for and accept in love.
Hmm.
Um, my father was the type to really encourage me and make me feel beautiful so that I wasn't looking for validation like out in the street.
Hmm.
And so when I found my husband, even though I still wound up marrying my father, I married the very best parts of him, and the
Hmm.
not so good parts I knew what not to look for.
Yeah, that's good. Okay. Could you tell me a little bit about your childhood, and was your dad very involved in your life growing up?
Yes. So even though he and my mom did not live together, my father was always there when I was expecting him. Every weekend we went bike riding in Flush and Meadows Park, and he was very involved, and he was happy to be a part of my life and happy that I had the type of mother that allowed him to be a part of my life,
Yeah.
because like my brother, he wasn't so lucky. He had trouble with, sometimes being able to have access to his kids.
Yeah.
And so my father was always thankful that my mother was never the vindictive type of person who would say, "No, you can't have your kids," because
Yeah.
I was his little buddy, so I was with him wherever he went.
That's cool. I love that. I had to transition into that mode because you can't make someone father the way you would like
Hmm.
somebody to father your kid. They have to want to. So
Hmm.
I took myself out of the, you know, sense of control of a relationship. And I was like, okay, you and your daughter about to have whatever relationship you're putting effort in to have. So I got out the way. So I think that's really, really cool that she did that. All right.
Yeah.
What is your favorite memory of your dad before we get into the main question?
Oh, I have so many. Um, the most recent one is that luckily before he passed away, we got to go to New Orleans together.
Mhm.
And it was his first time, and my dad was a drinker. He was the life of the party. And so we went to New Orleans together, and it was like we were some kids on spring break. It was me, him, and my husband,
Yeah.
and we just had a blast. Just bar hopping and taking shots and seeing the city. And we woke up the next morning, and he didn't remember half of it, and then he was.
If this episode does not tell you guys anything, don't forget that your dads are human beings. Don't forget that as an adult, you're allowed to have fun with your father in a adult way, okay? So this relationship that Krystal has with her dad, I'm just like, I wish I got to like chill with my dad in an adult way in my 20s and my 30s, like, but I didn't because he passed away when I was 18. But I would do all of these things that she has done, and I just want you guys to remember that your fathers are human, and maybe their fathers weren't the best fathers, or their uncles weren't the best fathers, so then fatherhood was very like hit or miss for them. So just keep that in mind. But we'll finish up the story.
Here we go.
Back to the show.
Back to the show.
He was hungover because he was catching a cruise. So
Yeah.
he was hungover going to catch his cruise. He had like a 7 o'clock call time to go board.
Oh my
And
God.
it was so fun because me and him were always the two in the family who kind of like, we would sit back together and just laugh and laugh and laugh, and getting to have that experience with him, it was amazing, especially since he had never been there.
I love it. Good. I've never been to New Orleans and I need to go. But every time I want to go, something happens where I can't fully plan out the trip. So I'm just like,
Yeah.
you know what? And then Corona was like, you ain't going nowhere. I was like,
Exactly. But New Orleans is one of my favorite places. So if you
yeah.
ever want to go, I will go. That's awesome. I can show
Are
you
you
around.
a baguette lover?
So I don't love them because I'm not like a donut kind of person, like a eater.
Yeah.
Um, but I eat them just because you have to when you're there.
Okay. She said she's a good sport, y'all. Okay. All right. So I want you to pick a color, either purple, orange, yellow, or pink.
I'm gonna go with purple.
Purple. Okay. Um. Hmm. What was the toughest thing you witnessed about your dad, or you witnessed that your dad went through or dealt with that really made you look at him in like a more I respect you as an like a adult to adult, or I can see my dad be vulnerable. Like, what was that thing for you?
Um, so my mother and my father had a very rocky relationship, and I
Hmm.
witnessed a lot of it because they had the parental syndrome, is what I like to call it, thinking that your kids are too young to remember
Yeah,
things that happen.
I like that.
So I witnessed, yeah, I witnessed him and my mom disrespect each other a lot growing up. And I
Mm,
think that one of the ways that I saw him grow the most and made me respect him kind of in a whole new light was when they started back speaking, which was fairly recently. I'm talking like maybe 2010 to 2013
yeah.
is when they just started to speak again, and he would come to Georgia and visit my mom.
Hmm.
And I just heard him, I overheard their conversation, and I heard him tell her that he was actually sorry for some of the things that he did when my brother and I were kids, and that he never got remarried, so he told her, you're going to be the only Mrs. Curry,
Hmm.
you know ever. And that he really respected her and he loved the way that she raised his children, because he knows that it was hard for her.
Yeah.
And I know that it was hard for him to both come to that realization and then also verbalize it. So for me, it was just like, it's never too late. And it actually taught me a lot about redemption, and how you can always, come back from idiocracy.
I love it. I love it. Any last words on loving your father?
My father was not perfect by any means,
Mm-hmm.
but the things that he did well, he did so very well. And I think that because of him, I didn't grow up with a lot of the like the stigmas, I would say,
Mm-hmm.
that girls feel about, being dark skinned, or, you know, just kind of all of the hardships that Black women go through growing up Black. And I think it was because for my father, I was always the princess and I was always the baby girl under any circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it just made me a more confident woman, and it made me um, better equipped to pick a husband.
Yeah.
And because now I have a husband who treats me the same as, or, sometimes better than my father did. And
Mm-hmm.
it brings me great comfort, because I know that when my father died, he knew that he was leaving me in good hands with my husband. Like, he kind of felt like, okay, you can take over now,
Yes.
and taking care of my daughter. And I think that that is because of the way that he was with me when I was younger,
Mm-hmm.
and always making sure that I was confident enough to kind of deal with all the crap that comes in the world for a Black woman.
I love it. Thank you for doing this, Krystal.
You are very welcome. It's so fun. We should do more stuff
We are
together.
going to do more stuff because now I want to do an episode with you on parental syndrome.
Oh, awesome. I got lots to say about that.
Yes, that's going to be awesome.
Bye. Bye.
When you visit Arizona, time is measured in moments, not minutes. Like the moment your work stress disappears as you kayak through the canyons. Or the moment you discover the life-changing effects of prickly pear chocolate. But nothing beats the moment you see the Grand Canyon for the very first time. Visit a new state of mind. Learn more at hereyouareaz.com.